Hello and welcome to part 2 of building your own high-powered analytics system for your website or websites in aggregate. And since I rendered that last video, which has been a little less than an hour, I came to this page and it's 1027. I've left this alone for about 5 minutes now, so I'll refresh it and we can see that we've picked up a few bots here. Okay, now from the last video that I did a query on IPs, and I found out something really interesting, which I'll jump into real quick here. I'll do that IP query again, and this is going to show me which IPs have hit the site the most. And on this, I've got this one particular IP, and I'm doing all of this because I haven't written the pages yet, so I'm doing it all in the PHP My Admin. So let me go over here to the search tab, and I'm going to search hit IP equals this, and you can build this into your pages, which is really kind of neat as well. And my computer's lagging. I guess it's Camtasia. I should have rebooted probably first. Okay, here we go. We got this 91, and if you look over here at the Hit browser, you can see it's MSN 2.0 search bot MSN. So that I guess that means 91 pages have been indexed by Bing or MSN or however that works. Anyway, enough of that. On to the coding. So the first thing you're going to need is you're going to need a database to do this in. And if you're on GoDaddy and you have some options. So I'm going to pause here and get into my GoDaddy. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm in my GoDaddy account now, and I've gone and navigated through to create a new database. Now, if you're going to use this script on simply one server and one server alone, you don't have to do this next step. I'm not going to fill these out, by the way. I'm going to use a database that I already have for the demo. But you have the opportunity to allow direct database access. Now, if you're not going to use this on anything but your own server sitting on the one single machine, and you have numerous websites on one machine, then you don't need to go through this step. But what if you have, like I do, sitting on 3 different hosting accounts? You're going to need those hosts to be able to get to that database. So you're going to want to check this yes, allow direct access. And you'll see the note down here, databases with external access are located on a separate server without external access. So that means if you're going to use this anywhere but your own server, you need to have this box checked, at least in GoDaddy. I'm not sure on your other one. You'll have to check your cPanel basics and see if they have anything on that. But I know several of the other ones allow you access beyond just your server. Okay, enough babbling. Now it's time to start doing some coding. Let me grab what I need here and drag it over. There we go. What you're going to need is you're going to need a script that will allow you access to your database in order to write these data forms. Typically, I use an access script that's separate, like a connection script, and then I just refer to the connection script using a line, an include line. Now this one, since I'm using it all over the internet in different websites, I just go ahead and write the connection script right onto the page, and that's what I'm going to go over at the top here. If you're familiar with PHP, then you're familiar with this, and it's just your connection to your database. And if you're using this externally to your server, you're going to want to, and if you're on GoDaddy as well, you're going to want to put the fully qualified path to your database in the host name. If you're on, say, Bluehost, and all your sites are on the same server on Bluehost, you can just put localhost in here. It doesn't matter, but I use mine across multiple servers. Then, of course, your username, your password, and your database. I'm not going to have these in here because I really don't want to get hacked. Anyway, and then your connection script is here, and so that ends the connection part. So now we get into the fun stuff. You have in PHP what's called server variables, and these server variables are what gives you the information about visitors to your site. For example, server agent is referenced by this $_capital server, and then in brackets and single quotes you have HTTP _user _agent, and then you close that out, and then you have your semicolon at the back. And if you were to just echo this by itself out on the page, it will tell you what your browser is. But since we're going to put this into a database, we're going to put this into a variable. So we're going to do string BRSR equals this server agent. And the same goes with IP. IP is server remote address. And then you have 3 different server variables you have to connect together in order to get the entire portion of your page to display. So what I've done is I've put these together, and HTTP host will give you your domain. For example, we'll use cookthis.com, cook-this. This would go cook-this.com. And then we append script name to that. So this will give you, let's say it's detail.php. Now we need to know the query that got us to that particular record on that landing page or that query page. So then the third one is server query string. So this gives you the string, this gives you the file, this gives you the base host, but it doesn't append the HTTP. So we're going to do that down below. And then the next one is HTTP referrer. This tells you that if they came from a search engine, Google, Yahoo, Bing, whatever, it's going to give the page that referred them over to your page if they came in through a link. And this doesn't work all of the time, but it works enough of the time to get a fair example of where your people are coming in from, or your bots. Okay, and then down below that, what I've done is I've done a string replace, because I've found this, I guess it's a scraper, it's twinkle.com, and it shows up in all of my records from them, and they come through there a lot. And I've searched for myself on them, and I'm nowhere to be found. So all I can imagine is they're scraping stories for use on their own site. But whatever, for whatever reason, I've gone ahead and commented that out so that I've done a string replace for this word, and I've replaced it with nothing, and I've done that on the referrer string. So that means that that makes this blank and puts it into my robots file. This, what I've commented out, is for titles. All of my pages have titles on them, and the titles are dynamically driven because my pages are driven from a database, and there's a title field in the database. So for my purposes, I inject a title into every record. So you'll want to, if you want to inject a title in, you'll want to write the code for that, and then you'll have to connect to that database. But since I'm going to use this script across many different sites, those connection scripts are all different, and the databases they pull from are all different. So I've commented this out, and we're not going to use that for right now. What we're going to use for right now is a more static approach. Although it's dynamic, it's in a variable. Title equals, I've just got the static title not tracked. So in all of my records that use this script, it's just going to say title not tracked. So I won't know what the title is without visiting the page. The title is kind of useful if you have a lot of pages like I do. I have probably at this point something like 60,000 pages being tweeted on a regular basis. So the only way for me to really know is either visit the page or look at the title. I don't like to visit the page. It runs up my hit count. It also runs up my count of Google ratio and other tracking mechanisms that I don't really care to run up by looking at them for just to figure out what the title is. So I put the title in where it's convenient. Where I don't, I just put in this. So anyway, the next thing is the hit site equals 2. If you're going to use this just on one website, this isn't important, but it helps me track. So if I'm using this on 2, that's telling me that I'm using this in cookthis.com. If I'm using it in Florablog, this number is going to be 1. And if I'm using it on Virginia News Live, it's going to be 3. This helps me sort things out later. You can actually omit that if you wanted to. Now, serve. This is where I was explaining where you have the domain, the script, and the string, the query string. So you have to assemble those so that you can make them a clickable link. So how I've assembled those is I've just done HTTP in front of both of these variables, and then I just append, or all 3 of these variables, and I append them together. And I've found that it won't put in the question mark, so I've just added a question mark in between 2 and 3. That way, when I construct my link, I can just click on it. Excuse me. And the next thing is I have an if statement. If refer is empty, and refer is where the person came from, and a lot of them are, if refer is not empty, okay, the exclamation means not empty. If it's not empty, I run the code within these brackets here. And the code within these brackets is the query to insert. And I'm inserting in the table hit count, I'm inserting the IP, the hit page, the hit title, the hit refer, the hit browser, the time, and the site that I am, where the hit is coming from. Even though I can see that in my refer page, or not my refer, yeah, this says refer, but you know, this tracks the page you're going to. Even though I can see that, by adding that 123 enum field, it allows me to utilize the you know, sorting mechanisms. And I don't have to worry that I put a cap in one and don't put a cap in another or something. I just know that it's site 1, 2, or 3. And then I'm going to insert these values, which are these variables. And the IP, you'll see both of these turning green. That's where the IP variable is. Here's the server variable, which we have built from ref1, ref2, and ref3, and the question mark and adding the HTTP. That's the serve variable. Then the title variable would be in my commented out code here, but since I'm using just the static version here, this is where that's getting the title. And then the ref, which is referrer page, that is pulling from this string replace, which means it won't replace anything if it's not this. Then it'll use this, which is the referrer. And then I have browser, which is the browser. I have now, which is the current time, and it's going to timestamp it with that. And then I have the hit site, and that is comparable to hit site. But I had to use the hit site because that just didn't look too good. So anyway, going back to this, that runs that code. Now the code is 100% identical. This is if not empty, okay, in those brackets. Now, else, if it is empty, do what's in these brackets. And what's in these brackets is query insert into bot count. Now you'll notice up here the table is hit count, down here the table is bot count. So if there's no referrer, it all goes into the bot count. If there is a referrer, it goes into the hit count. And that way I can look at the hit count and I get more information out of the hit count. So next we need to build a database, and this is 15 minutes in, so I will see you in number 3.